So we got this little guy here that thinks he's being funny by shooting at our base. We'll show him just how funny we think he is by making our own factory full of troops that will start to shoot at him instead, and then go right over to their base and start shooting to do even more damage. He can try sending more of them out, but it doesn't really matter in the end because now we have 2 troops shooting their base and that's a victory. So we move on to the next battlefield where he has a different kind of troop, who is actually better at destroying our troops than the squares. So we'll change these to pentagons, which will be better, although they do have overwhelming troops on our base. We can set up some defenses, but I think we just gotta reset, which will let us keep the upgrades, so we go ahead and then go against them. And probably upgrading the troops more is gonna be a good idea. And also making sure we are getting loot from defeating the enemies. So as we destroy them, we get some loot, but we can also make sure that we get loot from our own troops that get destroyed. So it's just a constant resource production. Speaking of constant production, we kinda need better production on this factory, so we need better spawn frequency there. And then once we reset the battlefield to be even, and get more loot from destroying the troops and our own troops, because the loot that we get depends on the shape that we're destroying or is being destroyed, and now our troops are powerful enough to take out their base again. Don't worry about the resetting of like time or whatever, we got victory. So now we have even bigger triangles to fight. So we should definitely be upping the health of our units. And something else that we can do for resource production is this right here. So whatever resource is the lowest will constantly fill up until it's at the same level as the second most populous resource. So that'll help us get resources that we need that aren't necessarily in the fight yet. And then we can just keep upgrading our unit health. So now the pentagons are actually the lowest resource, but probably not for long. And then our units can definitely start to do more damage and have more HP. So now they're starting to look roughly the same as these ones, and since the whole, rock, paper, scissors thing is happening, our units should be a little bit better at taking out the enemy. And sure enough, it looks like they are. Ever so slightly. We definitely need to give them more HP, and a little more, get a few more resources from our defeated units. So now it's actually at the 2nd level. And now we have a full-on force attacking the base right here, plus 1 defending the rear. So the amount of troops that we have attacking the base is getting to be a lot better. Oh, but now they have pentagons, so let's go ahead and switch back to squares. And then we can also boost the attack range, so you don't have to be as close. And we can also boost the range of our base defense, so it should be able to help out our troops. And also get more loot from defeating the enemies. And also more of the second thing, and the base can defend itself more frequently. But we'll need to reset this to actually realize it. And also get more factory spawn frequency, because they are still able to outnumber our troops. And our units should also be attacking more frequently. And we can have more unit size count. So we get roughly 1/4 of a unit every second. That should be a little bit better. 1 full rotation of the little light on here, and then we get a unit. Although it's still kind of scary that they're frequently at their maximum number of troops, but a lot of them are injured, so we are getting through them. Although a lot of our troops are also injured, so we should definitely up the unit count frequency spawn thing again. And then more attack frequency, and more loot from defeated enemies, and more of this. And probably more base defense range. Now our lowest resource is not really filling up as quickly as I would like, so we'll keep boosting this. So now we're getting 10 resources per second. Look at how fast that's climbing now, very good. So our units can attack even faster. And now we're outnumbering them. We're really outnumbering them. They can't decide who to take down, so we have 6 units or so attacking the enemy base. That is looking very good. Another victory. Oh, but it's the triangles again. Well, probably a good thing that it's the triangles, because pretty soon here, we can actually set up a 2nd factory. But of course the upgrades don't carry over to this one, so they'll need the boost as well. But that's something that we can do. And now we just have so many troops at their base. The new triangles do not last long. Oh, but now we have a boss fight, and they have a healing area. That's cheating. I don't have one of those. I could get one, but I don't have one now, so it's cheating. But I think our troops are looking powerful enough to start to take out their units, although they can have a lot at once. We definitely need more of that. So now we can have up to 10 units on the field, provided they actually spawn quicker. At least we can increase their attack range, and also more loot from our troops going down. Oh, we should also probably switch to squares because they're all pentagons. That would help too, but all of them together really do a number on our squares. So we definitely need more unit spawning, 1/3 of a unit every second, and probably the same thing here. So now that we start from the beginning of this whole mess, we easily have the advantage. They get a buff zone, I can restart the level. I guess it evens out. So that's another victory. but now they actually have 2 spawners this time. Thankfully, so do we, and we can actually move them. But for now, I think we'll just keep them in a line. And then we'll improve the attack range of the back factory, which actually, I don't think we gotta worry about that. Our units just decimated that time. Ooh, but now their spawners are actually like really spaced out. So we got some going up there, some going down here. We'll need the triangles to go up there, and then squares can continue going down here. I think our triangles are gonna need a little more HP and attack frequency. But now we actually have the opportunity to get all of the resources. Let's definitely boost the rate that we get the lowest level one. Although when they are at an even amount, then they actually stop production, so it's a little awkward, but that's victory. So they have another buff zone. We can get one ourselves, just need a little more resources. And there we go, we have a buff zone that's incredibly small. Well, at least we can boost the damage multiplier and get as many units in it as possible. I think our factory's got a little reversed. Also, their heal area is so much bigger, so we'll need to boost that. And also get more loot from enemy defeated and less resource. And thankfully we can move the buff area really far out. So we just have a whole armada of triangles that are taking out all the enemies, even the ones that they're not really supposed to go against. Oh, that's so good. And then all that's left is the enemy base. Beautiful victory. We're getting a lot of troops. Oh, but they have 2 buff zones. Oh, yikes. Also, they keep flipping the orientation of the enemies, and we can't really get the buff zone any further out. So we'll just go as far out as we can and then boost the range. And we should also boost the healing speed if we can, so our units actually last longer, because they have quite the number there. So we can do that a few times, which might be enough for our healing to keep up. Although all those pentagons together are a real nuisance. So we need more units happening down here. We also need to actually start destroying these pentagons so we can actually get some resources. Thankfully, that seems to be working. Get more spawn speed and more attack damage radius. I like this idea. So they can do more damage from further away. Although that buff zone they're in is really something. Maybe we should move it down here to help the squares out, and then give it a little more damage multiplying. That seems to be working. Now we're taking out the pentagons, but there's also a lot of squares stacked up now too. Thankfully, they're just outside their buff zone, so they're not getting health back. But I think their base is also doing the defensive thing, which is annoying. Well, at least we can use this opportunity to get more resources from our units being defeated, because we are certainly going through a lot of them. But we should definitely give our units more attack range, so that way they can probably stay within the range of the buffing zone, and sure enough they are. That's helpful. We're slowly pushing them back. Definitely more damage to the top factory there, and then the bottom one. But now they're pushing them so far back where they're actually outside the buff zone. I can't help you all the way out there, but maybe you don't fully need help. We're actually damaging their base a little bit, and now they're outside the buff zone too. Excellent. So we can just keep on piling units. And the base is slowly going down. Yes, another victory. Okay, now they got a really big buff zone. And that healing is just like instant. We really need to boost the healing speed of our buff zone. Would also be nice to get another one, but I feel like that's a little far away. Well, maybe not. We definitely need different shapes happening though, because we're finding like a whole bunch of Doritos. Although they don't really need all that much help. Once the shape changes, they just dominate. So that's another victory. And we have another boss fight, but what is this? A debuff zone? Oh, that's slowly killing us. Oh, yikes. Well, at least now we can afford our own debuff zone that can reach out further. So why don't we just slowly drain you? More damage speed, more damage reduction. Reduce damage done by enemy units inside the area. Oh, that's helpful. Let's just reset this so we start on even footing. Yeah, look at that, we're slowly melting their units too. Oh, we can zoom. Just position it right over them, and then they slowly drain as we are slowly draining. But now we have another zone to worry about, which is a little annoying, but I think we should be able to keep up, especially if we just give our units more HP, and also more spawn frequency. Oh, and also changing the shape would help here too. And it looks like our debuff zone is actually killing them faster than their healing zone can heal. Excellent. Do it some more. But now basically the only damage is happening from the debuff zone. That's a little awkward, but now they're past that one, so we can focus it down here. A little more damage speed, almost 100 damage per second. That is just melting them. Wow, this debuff zone just became the new MVP. Struggling a little bit on the healing zone up here, but we just give it a few more boosts, and that's 100 damage per second. That is beautiful. All of them got eviscerated at once. Can we move them down here? Not quite, but now we're attacking the base. This debuff zone is amazing. Give it a bit more size, and then we can take it with us into the next battle. Oh, they have 3 factories now. Oh boy, and it's one of everything. And we cannot afford that yet. Well, thankfully we have this debuff zone that we can place right on top of them, and then right where our units are sitting. Although we definitely need to be doing more healing. And then maybe changing this one to the pentagons because their pentagons are kind of in the back row. So I think we're able to heal the units very well. A little bit more healing speed wouldn't hurt though. So it's slowly pushing them back, especially with the debuff zone just draining them slowly but surely because they have no healing zones. We can also reduce their damage output. So they do 11 less damage. I like the looks of this. Just casually moving a zone to take out the enemies. Now those pentagons are still kind of an issue because that's where our triangles are, and our buff zone can only go so far out. Can we get a 3rd factory yet? Almost there, and yes, a 3rd factory. So we have all the shapes going out to battle. Although you should probably stay in the back and just have a lot more attack range. And then more damage. So the little squares can be glass cannons or something. And just, you know, long range support. So they have a lot of troops, but we have the damage numbers, although their base is deflecting a lot of shots now, which is pretty annoying. More range on the buff zone. Now, unfortunately, they're at kind of a stalemate where the buff zones and the debuff zones cannot go. Although it does let us start our factories a little bit closer. I think we need the squares going up here, actually. Swapping things around. There we go. Now a little more attack range, and then a little more spawn frequency. Actually, a lot of spawn frequency. Now, all the squares that we're sending down here are still alive, so we'll need to boost the amount that can be in the field. Now they can attack the pentagons very well. And doing a lot of damage. Look at those mini explosions. Oh, but then he gets taken out. Well, at least there's another one. Although the deflection is starting to upset some of their shots, but now the squares are taking out the pentagons up here. Give me more of those. Also, their factories are producing so quickly, but we definitely need more squares, and we need them going towards the pentagon still. Why are you going down there? Well, I guess now's a good time for them to get more health, because they are starting to take out the squares here now. We're doing kind of well. It's a really awkward, like a war of attrition, but I think we're winning. We also need to just give our units more attack range, I think. Especially you squares up here, because I want you to go towards the pentagons. That one almost went up there, although the squares are still spawning kind of frequently. So I think the triangles need a big attack range boost as well. I think we're winning. We definitely need more spawn rate on the factory down here. We are losing a lot of triangle troops. So it takes roughly 3 seconds for you to spawn and then I guess all of them take about 3 seconds. But these guys could also use a lot more attack frequency. And while they're going out there, we can boost our production back here a whole bunch, gain a lot of resources from enemies, which is mostly triangles, I guess. Can we boost the defense range that much more? Oh wow, we can cover like half of the battlefield with that. That is awesome. And then let's get more of our troops being looted and some more of theirs. You know, I'm really curious what happens if we just reset everything. Maybe that's all it takes. They still stack up a lot of pentagons. Okay, move the factory a little bit higher, and now the squares are attacking the pentagons like they should. Now this is working. Just look at that wall moving in there. And then a little more attack frequency, I think. There we go, there we go. Now they're pushing them back. As far as the debuff can let them go. The debuff can actually almost reach the square's spawn. Oh, we're spawn camping them now. It's beautiful. It's just too bad our buff zone can't get any further out there. Although now's a good time to boost its healing potential. They're slowly beating them back, but their factories still produce units so quickly. And the triangles still need way more spawn speed. So now it's taking roughly 2 seconds. Hey, that's victory! I didn't realize we started damaging the base. Awesome, that worked out very well. Oh, now their factory's right on our debuff spawn, but look at the size of those things. Need to swap some things around, I think. Although it's all triangles, so you can become this. And just like that, we are slowly beating them back yet again. Just that subtle little change, and our units continue to dominate the field. But look at how many triangles are getting there. Up there and then down there, you can barely see that one. But it's a mistake to hide in the base because the base is destroyed. Oh, and now they have a super big buff zone. Well, let's just move our zone on top of there. Theirs is healing 54. That better be 54.8 or whatever. Oh my gosh, they are actually dominating right now. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. That is not good. Why don't we not talk about that and then change things around? We need more squares up here and then triangles in the middle. But that buff zone is actually, oh wait, that's the wrong zone. So our debuff zone is slightly better than their buff zone, but our own buff zone needs a lot of work on the healing department. We can't even get units out there. Look at how fast the squares are spawning. Oh my goodness, you need to be cranking out units way faster. They're doing a unit a second. Well, we can activate another debuff zone, which should be good for what we need it for. We can really boost the damage reduction. And then a little more HP per second. Our units are somehow holding their ground. I think this buff zone is doing a lot for them. So we need to keep boosting our debuff zone. We're still holding on. Need a little bit more on the range of this one though. Somehow the squares are persisting. And the triangle here is actually surviving, all things considered. Well, maybe not. Look at how many square resources we're getting. We have 170,000? Oh my goodness. I don't even know what else there is to do here besides hold out and then just farm resources. Well, I guess we can take out some of their flanks with this debuff zone, so that can save a little bit of grief and we can get a little bit more resources out of it. But they're also pushing really heavily into our factory area. This is a mess, but we can boost the size a little bit more and our square units are still surviving. They just need to be attacking, you know, the units they're actually strong against, the pentagons. There they go. Now they're taking them out really quickly. Although the squares that come in easily steal their attention away, so that's not good either. These triangles need to do a better job. But also, how are they moving in so far? That is just insane. I don't even know if these triangles spawning faster would really turn things around all that well. These guys down here need a lot more attack frequency and maybe some attack radius. And because the triangles really can't be on the field at all, we're not even getting triangle resources from them. So we should boost the lowest resource production rate, which is looking better. And also the base deflecting shots a lot more frequently. That would help our units out. Even though the shots really aren't, you know, in the air that long. Look at just this arc of pentagons happening here. And our units can't even really attack them. Although since they're surviving, we can up their maximum count so that there's more in the field, and then we can give them even more of a damage multiplier. So the projectiles are large and taking out a lot of units quickly. The problem is they just keep replenishing more. So what if we restart things? Can our units actually keep up with them? Oh, nope, they quickly back up to where they were. Well, at least we got more triangles in the field, so that should mean that they can stand a better chance against the squares. They have a lot more damaged units, which is good. A lot of our units are healthy, also good. And then boosting the debuff area even more. This is working. All of our units are staying alive. It just took a lot of upgrades to get here, but we're doing it. All the squares are coming out, but we are easily destroying them now. Not even necessarily with the triangles, just a large army of squares. How many can we have? 12 units on the field. And that's just of those. So we can have 30 units all going at once. And I think we actually do have them all going at once. Our spawn rate isn't as fast as theirs, but we are quickly replenishing units that are destroyed. And the debuff zone going as far out as it can is always a plus, even if it's an X. And I think you need a lot more damage, and so do you. But also attack frequency would also be nice. We're actually damaging their base, but those squares getting in the way are kind of halting the advance. I think we just keep doing what they were doing and then flooding the field with troops, but we need a lot more triangles to actually fund that, and that's the one we have the lowest amount of. Now let's go more damage on these units up here, and then more attack down here, and probably boosting the lowest resource production even more because my goodness, we can increase that a whole bunch. 310 resources per second. But now these two are so low that they're actually tying each other. And even when they do get quite a bit of a difference, like doubling this number, you can't even tell because we're getting so much of a nice amount of squares that look at the chart here. I don't think we'll have to worry about squares for a while, at least as far as resources are concerned, because these guys are still so incredibly annoying. We need to have a faster attack frequency than their spawn rate. And maybe just, you know, more units. Our units are slowly moving closer. It's working. More attack frequency to these squares up here, and then these squares down here. Can we actually move this to be in line with the squares? Okay, we can. I'm not sure if that's helping, but their base actually is almost destroyed from some collateral shots going through. Just gotta keep this up. It's working, it's working. A few more. Yes! Oh, so glad to be done with that. That wasn't even a boss wave. And look at these squares, just so much larger now. And the triangles too. Oh my goodness, we gotta shuffle things around here. And they have a super large debuff zone over our troops now. Oh, this is rude. This is rude. I suppose we could stack debuff zones, but that doesn't really seem helpful here. Okay, now that we got things switched around a little bit, let's just reset. Our pentagons are roughly the same size as theirs. At least the, middle ones. These ones are not nearly there. And then these triangles down here need a bit more damage to keep up with the squares and more attack speed, which some of these attacks are doing no damage. Oh, the damage reduction. The damage reduction in the debuff zone is so great. Our units are doing 0 damage. Oh, that is bad, but they're also doing 0 damage, so this is just awkward. How about we reduce it some more and then have a more debuff happening? And then a little more size on this. Whoa, okay, they're starting to form an arc down here. Thankfully, this little guy is out of the debuff zone, so we should be able to take him out, provided he survives. But of course, there's so many of them that he doesn't really last that long. What is going on here? Our units are actually getting pushed back. This is a bit of a yikes. We need more healing speed. And then we can have the debuff down here. So they're doing less damage to the triangles, and we can actually thin out the arc that they made. That's a relief. So let's see, their damage reduction is 12, and their attack DPS is actually less than the damage debuff, so that's good there. The problem is we need to have more damage happening from our troops than what's in the debuff zone here, which is 30 HP. The pentagons up here are almost to that threshold. Thankfully enough pentagons are being destroyed, we should be able to get there pretty quickly. So we're at 29.8. which is actually slightly more than the debuff zone here. So the pentagons in here should be able to do damage, although it might be just barely over the threshold. So that means that they're not doing any damage yet, but we're getting there. All these squares down here still. We need these triangles to be up there, but that is way more damage that needs to happen from them. I suppose we can start the factories away from the debuff zone so that they're not even close to it, and these guys can just hold the line. That actually seems to be working. And then we'll get this small debuff zone to be a little bit larger. Okay, it's working. We got like a pincer movement happening. Are these guys right here really under threat all that much anymore? Kind of want to help out the triangles down here instead, because they're the ones that are actually pushing the line, and I guess the pentagons up here are as well. But there it is, we're pushing them back. What an awkward war of attrition. Both sides just doing 0 damage. Well, here, have a bigger buff zone. A really big buff zone, actually. The buff zone is looking really buff. And a little more for this one. There we go, there we go. Yes, our units are past the debuff zone. Oh, good, that should make this a really easy fight from here on out. Or the base just gets destroyed from collateral shots making it through again. Man, so many shots happening now, it's glorious. Yes, there it is, the victory. And okay, we got 2 overlapping debuff zones. More damage reduction, oh my goodness. And of course we gotta shuffle units around. And this middle one, I guess can be squares? I don't even know where the squares are going, but I think we need some triangles here, UB triangles. So I'm not sure how many upgrades we actually need to be doing because our units are still controlling the field here. We can definitely boost the damage happening in the debuff zone here and then the damage reduction. So our triangles can last a little bit longer and then we heal them up. And just like that, we are pushing them out of their buff zone, yes. I thought these were 2 debuff zones close together, but nope, one's a giant healing one that is no longer being used. So they're actually able to get to this side down here. Maybe we should switch off of the triangles, but it's actually working. We'll just boost their damage and their HP a little bit more. And their base just gets eviscerated from the shots going through. Okay, here's boss stage number 3. What is this zone? Magnetic field? What does that even mean? Size and force, so is that keeping units in this area? I don't know, but they have a debuff zone all the way at our spawns. That's so rude. But we can get a magnetic field now. Pushes enemy bullets away from the center. Oh, interesting. We also really need the buff zone back here and then get these closer to the front line. I think we also need some pentagons happening. You can be a triangle, you can be pentagons. That should work a little better, I hope. But now this debuff zone is outdoing the damage of the pentagons up here. Thankfully, they're pretty close to surpassing it. And I think we're winning. Their units are getting pushed back, but they also might just have a really large attack range. Also, look at that magnetic field. It's causing some of the shots to miss. Or it's also just causing shots to hit other units, which is hilarious. But now we can afford our own magnetic field and get more size on that because my goodness, we really need it. And then a little bit more magnetic force, and now shots are shooting right past our units and almost hitting our base. That's kind of terrifying. But also, I think the magnetic force might not be doing enough yet. It sort of is. I think our pentagons just need more spawn rate down here. And they also need to push past the debuff zone, which thankfully they're doing now. So this magnetic field can actually go almost as far as the debuff zone. That's looking really good. So we can almost like mirror their debuff zone arrangement. Not that I'm sure that's gonna do anything, but look at that magnetic force. It's curving bullets down here, saving this pentagon's life. Until it isn't. Now our pentagons down here can get a little more HP, and we're getting thousands of resources at a time now. How much larger can we get the defense range though? Well, at least we can just have a lot more resources happening from defeated units. And now we're just pushing all sorts of enemies to like the very edges. So we are about to start attacking the base. But now the pentagons are actually reaching squares, so they're doing a little less damage. That's awkward. But at least we can buff these guys to at least get healing and do a little more damage, which is also carrying through to the base. Yes! And the magnetic field here is honestly kind of surprising how well it's doing. It'd be hilarious if we got this strong enough that the enemy bullets just curved right back to the base. That would be amazing. And there's just a solid line of injured squares. Oh, that is tragic. They get shot a little bit and then they get moved on down the line. But now we're getting really close to taking them out fast enough to start damaging the base again. What's happening up here? There's like nothing going on up here. You guys need more HP. The enemies are getting pushed back into the base. Oh, that's hilarious. And maybe we boost the triangle's attack frequency. But now there's actually the maximum amount of squares out in the field, so they're spawning faster than we can destroy them now. Because I guess our triangle attack force is kind of spread a little bit. And we need more spawn rate on the pentagons down here. If we can keep these triangles out of the way, then we can, yes, push through, destroy more squares. Just keep it going, keep it going. There's the base, yes! Destroy it, destroy it. Oh, we got it. The third boss down, and that's the end of the demo. That was awesome. There's definitely room for it to get crazier in the full game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video of endless escalation. If you want to see how much crazier this gets in the full game, then be sure to let me know. Thank you very much for watching, and sub to Intern.